Hi fam, welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. I am so excited to have you back. And so in today's video I want to talk about boundaries. Well, I know it's possibly a new word for some people, okay, or you probably it's not a word that you use every often, but so a boundary, as you hear the word, is just like a limit, like a demarcation that keeps something that you treasure away from some people or other people. So I just today want to talk about boundaries. Why am I pushed to talk about this? Because so many people do not respect this word boundaries, and especially it applies to relationships where family is involved, like close relationships. So for example, being a sister or a close friend does not mean that you have extremely open access to your friend or your sister's life. Like if for example, let me give an example. If I am the type that loves to have my quiet time, if you're the type to respect my boundaries, then you have got to learn to give me my space and my time as I request for it. And if also it's the case with you, then I should be respectful enough to honor your wishes and your boundaries, to know that you need, every once in a while, you need time and space to yourself. So basically I think it's very important for every relationship to have boundaries, be it with your mother, be it with your sibling, be it with your friend or with your spouse. Yes, I think even when you're staying together as a couple, it's important to have boundaries, because you just don't come for and just do whatever it is in your head that you feel you should do. I think even in our relationship with God, there needs to be boundaries. I mean, then there has to be respect and there has to be honor. Yes, you come to him as you are, but with respect and with honor. So in the same way, we ought to show boundaries. I personally, my boundaries, I love my personal space a lot, and I really appreciate it when I have, once in a while, I have me time. It's very important. They always talk about how men have a me cave, they have the man cave and all that. I think in that aspect I'm like the men. So and then to the young ladies out there, I might not be the number one person to advise on this boundary, but there's also the boundary of off until you put a ring on it. I know I haven't stood by it, but that's a very, if I think it's the most protective boundary that any young lady out there should have. And when my daughter comes of age, I'm planning to tell her this, because it protects you physically, emotionally, and in every aspect. So I think it's really important to sit down and list down your boundaries and stick to them. Yes, there might be times when you fail to stick to the pen or to stick to what you've written down, but I think it's important to know, you know what, this limit, you cannot cross it. It gives you that self-respect, and also teaches people how to respect you. I also think it's possible to teach people how to treat you. Like, I know I have a weakness of being a yes person sometimes and finding it hard to say no. And I'm trying hard to work on it, because, people take advantage of yes people sometimes. They think they can just push whatever they want your way, and you'll just be able to absorb and absorb. You become a shock absorber. But at the end of the day, you end up stressing out yourself if every time anyone comes to you with a request or a need, you're always saying yes, yes, yes. I think it's important to learn where to say no. Of course, it's also not wise to now say, okay, I have to have boundaries, I'll say no to every little thing people say. But sit down and reflect, and see if really you will not be spending your emotional energy, or like you will not be spent at the end of the day when you do the things. I'm also working on it. I'm not talking like I'm not talking in a sense of I have accomplished everything, but it's one area that I want to work on this year, especially now that I have a child. I have to learn to keep my boundaries up, to learn to, to say no to certain things so that I can have time for her, because she's just this little developing human that needs all the time and attention. So I would like to know, what are your boundaries? What are the things you are not willing to stand up for? What is your limit when it comes to dealing with people? Yeah, I would like to hear what your take is. So in 2023, let's take up this mandate and let's keep our boundaries, because at the end of the day, your mental space is very important. You have to protect yourself. In fact, Proverbs says you should guard your heart, for out of it flow the issues of life. That's also another verse that talks about boundaries. It's putting up a guard, and being like, no, I'm not doing this, or no, I'm not taking this. Because at the end of the day, if you allow your defenses to be broken, totally tattered, the issues that flow out of your life will not be helpful to either you or those around you. Like, be active in saying no when you have to. Again, I said you just don't have to now go and start saying no, I don't want this, or no, 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 but you've got to ask God for wisdom, and we all need to ask God for wisdom and grace so that we can learn what we should stand for and what we shouldn't stand for, what we should put up with and what we shouldn't put up with. The other day I read a sentence that said, you are not God and you are not responsible for anybody's success or failure in life. Like, you're not the sole watchman over everybody. Like, you shouldn't think everybody's progress in life is dependent on you. Yes, it's okay to help. It's good to stretch out and lend a helping hand, but it's also okay to know where your limits are. It's also okay to know where you are stretched beyond limits. You cannot, they say you cannot pour out of an empty cup. And then also I had a certain YouTuber the other day say, if a tree has got, if it's in fruiting season, is it called fruiting season? So when people come and pick out the fruits of that tree, eventually it will get done. Like, I have a fene tree behind in my backyard. We ate fene and it's practically now empty, like done. So at the moment it cannot give out fruit, like it cannot. So I think the same analogy can apply to us. When you feel you are spent and you've given out all you have given out, you've poured out all that you've poured out, you need to recharge. We should always have that point where we say, you know what, I think I'm done for now. Let me recharge and then come back later refreshed. Because when we keep on pouring and pouring and pouring, then that'll be detrimental to us. So yeah, in 2023, I really want to be intentional about making sure that my boundaries are respected by all those around me. It doesn't mean that I'll love less. I will love, but there'll be accountability. So basically, that's what I wanted to share in today's video. I hope it made sense to someone out there. If you liked the video, just comment down below, tell me what your boundaries are. Maybe I could borrow a leaf from you. Tell me I cannot allow this in my life, or something like that. That's all I had for now. Until we meet again, ciao.